the black Republicans that are at the forefront or that they pull the camera on, think about it like this, fam. Real simple. We always hear the stereotype of if some news go down in the hood, they find the person with the rollers, with the, the robe on, with the bonnet, and they asking them to represent the hood as far as what happened around here.
Sure, that's right.
When they reach out to these black Republicans, there are moderate black Republicans.
Correct.
There are liberal-leaning black Republicans. But what they do is they reach out to the radical right. The super MAGA. America is not racist. I've never seen racism. Nobody's ever said nothing bad to me, and I can go anywhere. And they just lying to. So when you start to push that narrative as if my lying eyes, you know what I'm saying?
We'll discuss race and how it plays a factor, and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
We are coming to you live from the BEP studio from another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space where we discuss all matters regarding race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. I'm your host, TonyTidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. And we're here to tackle the real, the raw, and often uncomfortable truth shaping our world. No fluff, no filters, just bold conversations on issues that matter. Live, we're going to tackle power, politics, culture, and corporate America. We break it all down without holding anything back and engaging with you each week.
Absolutely, buddy. And so I hope you guys are ready to dive in today because in part of our intro, we say we talk about race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. So we're definitely going to dive into, I think, all three, but definitely the uncomfortable topics that people tend to avoid, right? So look, at the end of the day, we're only as good as how you guys, your engagement. So it's very important that we want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. Chris and I are providing our own perspectives based on our experiences, based on our wisdom, or whatever the case may be. But we're not, God or Notre Dame. We don't know everything and don't claim to. Providing our perspective. So we want to hear your perspective. You think something or you disagree in something, throw it at us. Let's have a conversation. This is how we all learn. Our goal is to share things and hopefully to educate people. But at the end of the day, we're open to learning from other people as well and hearing different perspectives. So please don't be afraid to chat, use the chat function, dive in, send this to us, and we'll bring up your chat live on the show, and then we'll have a dialogue.
Absolutely. That's what we want.
All right. So you ready though, buddy?
Man, I'm chomping at the bit. I'm excited about this one today, Tony.
All right, let's good. I'm excited too. So one of the things, that we wanted to dive into is, Black conservatives. Okay. There was a big thing about a number of Black conservatives or Black people voting for Trump. Okay. And I think it's the highest percentage a Republican has gotten in a long time. And let's be fair. Let's just put that in context. It wasn't like 40%. It was a very small percentage, but a higher percent in terms of Black people voting for a Republican, because typically they get 3-4%. And I think in this one, maybe he got 7, 8, 10%, something to that effect, right? So still nothing, to sneeze home about. But all that being said, his message platform resonated with people. And so what we wanted to do, with the help of Mother Jones, we wanted to dive into, who are these people? Why are they, enamored with, and I don't think the Republican part, I think Trump for the most thing, right? But we're going to dive into that, right? So we want to hear your thoughts, and we want to give a shout out to Mother Jones because we're going to be sharing you some clips that they put together a while ago, maybe right before the election. So we're going to dive into it. So we want to give them kudos. And then also we want to ask you if, for you to watch this in its entirety, because I took some clips out just for this conversation, but definitely go to Mother Jones, look this up. It was, I sat with Black Republicans and watch the entire episode yourself. So it'll definitely be enlightening and give you some more knowledge. Thoughts, my brother, before we dive in?
No, I'm just looking forward to it because I think there's a lot of distinction and misinformation as it relates to the political parties themselves. And I think that we have a good opportunity here to not only learn, but to teach as we go along. So we should run these clips and get it going.
All right, buddy. So let's do it, y'all. You guys follow along, and then we'll be right back. Check this out.
Black conservatives are everywhere.
That's why I'm here to show my support as a black man for Trump.
Pollsters can't get enough of them.
The historic levels of support the Republicans are getting from black folk under Trump.
Donald Trump is cozying up to them.
Come here, let me give you a
And the RNC was full of them.
President Trump, we have the greatest economy in our lifetime. America is not a racist country.
Can you imagine President Donald Trump coming to a city and calling a pastor like me?
You've probably heard a lot of people talking about black Republicans, but I spent all of the RNC talking to black Republicans.
So it is with being a black conservative. I equate it to being gay back in the 50s or 60s. You didn't come out the closet then.
And so you look at the people who really saying that about Trump. It's not no uppity Negroes. It's Negroes out the real hood.
And that's one reason why I'm pro-Trump and I'm a conservative, is because I truly believe in the individualistic approach to the problems that we see within the black community or in America as a whole.
Black Republicans specifically are some of the most disliked and unpopular political figures within the black community for a reason.
I'm pissed.
Of the 4 black Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives, zero represent majority black districts.
I am royally pissed.
In fact, they all represent majority white districts, something they seem to be very proud of.
South Carolina is majority white, correct?
Yeah, it's Georgia.
My district is majority white district. Your Utah is majority white district, correct? Michigan, good. Florida, is your district majority white district? Well, how do we get here?
Like, a lot of white people had to vote for it.
There is an obvious disconnect, and that's what I want to explore today. I wanted to know what draws a black person to identify with this Republican Party.
Trump has been for black people, regardless of what the media say, for a long time.
The Bible say we perish through a lack of knowledge, right? So until you teach the people, that's the only way they're gonna learn. So it's our job, me especially as a black conservative, to get out there, get on the ground, and teach these people all about the black conservative movement. And when you look at the movement now, especially right now, we speaking, baby.
I learned a lot about black Republicans in these conversations. Their motivations, their stories, their goals. These are real people with genuinely held beliefs. Beliefs that I largely disagree with, and I told them as much. So in this video, I want to share these people with you. But I'll also share some of my reflections on the experience of listening to, fact-checking, and disagreeing with black Republicans. I learned a lot about black Republicans, and I think you will too. So with that, let's dig.
Buddy, let's dig in, right? Let's dig in. So just thoughts, just based on the, and everyone just, you know, some of the clips are going to be a little long because we can't play them out of context for you to get it. So we have to play it in its entirety. So you'll definitely get the understanding. But go ahead, my brother.
Number one, you can't fact check feelings, and these feelings that these people have. Let's just lay the baseline, right? So if you talk about Republicans, is synonymous with conservative. And there are liberal Republicans. There are conservative Democrats. Like it's not as simple as that. Conservatism is a culture, social, or political philosophy or ideology that seeks to promote and preserve traditional institutions, customs, and values. We can't progress if we're holding on to traditional institutions, customs, and values. We have to be able to evolve. So there's a level of, I'm cool with wanting things to be like you've always known them, but you got to give up a little bit of that. And the concept of these brothers that's serving these white constituents, I remember it was a joke where they would say, white people try to be cool with black people, be like, I love color. I got a color TV, like, you know what I'm saying? And so to be that part, and I'm not calling these dudes token individuals, and who they like is who they like, and where they go is where they go. But the fact is, I'm going to speak for me. I've seen many instances where I'll tell you, I was at a major company, won't say the name of the company. It had a lot of instances or issues with diversity. This is back in the day before it became hot button topics and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that happened at that company was they made the head of HR a brother. All of a sudden, one brother It's just like America's not a racist country. We get a black president, and all of a sudden racism is absolved. So the concept of saying, hey, just because this person represents the majority white district, that the district itself can't be bad, or that these people can't say that they don't like us because come on, man. So that's what you got to watch out for, that the banana in the tailpipe.
I mean, look, let's be fair though, right?
Yeah.
And so let me just say this, right? To be fair, and we're going to dive into some more, right? Because there's historical. So to be fair, black people were conservative, okay? To be fair, just history standpoint, black people voted Republican, all right? Because of Abraham Lincoln.
That's correct.
Be clear here, right? Yep. And so this ain't nothing new, okay? In terms of black people have always been conservative, okay? In terms of, just in terms of not traditions, but also in terms of some of the ideology of when you talk about from a social political standpoint, right? Let's just be fair, right? The black home back in the day, kids were under order. All right. They wasn't running wild, right? You respected people. You presented yourself a certain way. Your parents were on you, and it was about individual responsibility. There was no excuses and all. So that's nothing, to be fair, right? Yeah. Where the challenge comes in, and which we're going to dive into, is that when race became the issue, okay, that's what is the part that made black people, and let's be fair, you just got finished saying it too. You don't have to be part of a political system to be conservative or progressive. That's correct. There's Democrats that are conservative. They just fall under the Democratic flag. You have moderates. You have moderate Republicans that are not strong, far right wing, right? You have liberal Republicans that are more progressive, but they fall under, they decided that they wanted to be under the Republican platform. So you can't sit here and try to put everything under one, right? And we're going to dive into, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but at the end of the day, this ain't nothing new. All right, just to be honest, I'll be honest, I'm a Republican. I'm a registered Republican since 1990. Okay, to be fair, my pastor, who passed away not too long ago, was a Republican. His daughter. So this ain't just to be fair here. This ain't something new. What's new is that they voted for Trump, all right, and that they're falling under this. And we won't get into it, but they're aligning themselves with a party, right? Which we're going to show you. We're going to give you this, right? That is a lot of people. I don't say a lot. Let me just be fair. There's certain elements in the party that are racist. That do race bait, that are creating policies, and they don't even hide behind. They're right out. And you'll see, they're right in front. So that's the issue, okay? So you can't separate. You can't say I get it. I respect if that's what you want, but you then can't do what you were saying earlier or what we saw in the clip. White people voted for us, so we must be good. And so, buddy, you can't do that because what you're basically, you want to whitewash one thing, right? And then act like people don't act like it's not real, right? And then basically say, oh, but this is this. It's not, it's what's that old saying? It's not in a vacuum. Okay, there's multiple layers here. Okay, and that's the issue. Final thought. Give me your quick thought before we play the next clip.
The issue that you run into, and I'm sure we'll be showing more examples of this, is that the black Republicans that are at the forefront or that they pull the camera on. Think about it like this, fam. Real simple. We always hear the stereotype of if some news go down in the hood, they find the person with the rollers, with the, the robe on, with the bonnet, and they asking them to represent the hood as far as what happened around here.
It's true. That's right.
When they reach out to these black Republicans, there are moderate black Republicans. Correct. There are liberal leaning black Republicans. But what they do is they reach out to the radical right. The super MAGA. You know, man, America is not racist. I've never seen racism. Nobody's ever said nothing bad to me, and I can go anywhere. And they just lying to. So when you start to push that narrative as if my lying eyes, you know what I'm saying?
You hit it, buddy. You hit it round the point. So based on that, let's go to our next clip because we're going to dive in. We're going to hear from somebody who's like that.
Has millions of followers online and believes, according to him, in an individualistic approach to progress for black people.
And that's one reason why I'm pro-Trump and I'm a conservative, is because I truly believe in the individualistic approach to the problems that we see within the black community or in America as a whole. And you can think about it, Black Wall Street, Harlem Renaissance, all that time, we was doing great. But when the policies came in and started destroying the black community slowly and slowly. Matter of fact, it was supposed to get rid of poverty or at least lessen it, but we have more poverty now than we had back then.
I think you'll notice a theme of dissonance present in these interviews. On the one hand, for example, Topher endorses an individualistic approach to solving the problems we face as a community. But on the other hand, he points to Black Wall Street or the Harlem Renaissance, communities that I would consider on the Mount Rushmore of black collective power. And he points to them as times we should look back on with admiration. And the question is, which one is it? Is it rigid individualism where we get it out of the mud on our own? Or is it about creating communities where we work together to build our collective resources? What's also interesting is that somehow for him, these communities no longer exist because of liberal or progressive policy decisions.
But when the policies came in and started destroying the black community slowly and slowly. Matter of fact, it was supposed to get rid of poverty or at least lessen it, but we have more poverty now than we had back then.
I think it's worth pointing out that this more poverty now than back then line is verifiably false. It falls in line with a theme that people like Byron Donalds have advanced continuously throughout this election cycle. The idea that we were better off in any way during the Jim Crow era.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together.
Yeah, that's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively.
It's worth noting that the black poverty rate has been falling ever since black people started receiving civil rights protections. It's almost as if these progressive policies worked.
Now, you mentioned Black Wall Street, brother, and I want to be very real with you.
Yeah.
Black Wall Street was Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood District, where black people built their own community, had their own self-sustained community, beautiful economy, making it for themselves, and white people destroyed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't policy. It was white people.
Well, white people. It was.
No. Let's be very clear. It was white people.
No.
It
was those white people.
Highlight. Okay, so let me jump into this. I wrote that down in the notes as he was speaking. Policy did not destroy those iconic black moments in America. Violence did.
Correct.
Violence and violence should not be considered. We've done a show on this. Violence should not be considered a policy, and unfortunately, we have a government now, an administration now, that advocates violence as a policy. That a bomb boats and dog, this violence as policy, we got to get over that. And I'm not casting aspersions on all the GOP or whatever the case may be. But the reason why, so religion, conservatism, and religious beliefs do intertwine and go hand in hand. So we went through a time in this country where the country began on religious beliefs. We went through a time during the civil rights era where the black family and all families was more close-knit because of proximity, lack of mass transportation, and religion. Church was you got the good news at church, right? Church was where you went to get your stuff. The reality of it is that fear kept you close. That fear of checking on each other and making sure we was all good, that kind of kept you close. They destroyed the terrorism that came from Jim Crow. Really destroyed a lot of things. Jim Crow didn't help us get together from a policy perspective. It helped us because we had to look out for each other. We was all we had. You heard that before. We all we got.
Buddy, so again though, so here's the thing. But again, let me go to a couple things. Let's go to a couple things that I can and there's maybe one that I can agree with. Okay, maybe one, right? Number one, he was like, well, you know, I believe in individualism and this and that. You know, you can build. So, and look, I'm all for people need to be held accountable for their actions. Okay, let's be fair, right? So that right there is automatic, right? But to try to parlay that into that we were our success is based on just individualism,
right?
Okay,
right.
When there was just a couple examples when we had when we built our own shit,
right?
All right, when we Wilmington, North Carolina, we can go to Rosewood, we go to a million things that from an individualism standpoint we built. We were making our own money. We were doing this, and then what happened? White people came and destroyed it.
Absolutely.
All right. So
absolutely.
This don't have nothing to do with that. And for that, for him not to understand that, and then to your point, but here's the thing though, with that, it would be no different than somebody all the way on the left that hears a narrative. And don't know none. All they want to do is individualism, and they don't even know what he's talking about, right? And then that's why my man was like, "Look, bro, it wasn't Black Wall Street and this and that. You're right. That's his point. We built that, so nobody gave it to us. It was individualism, right? But then white people came and burned it down. He was like, "No, it wasn't." You see my point here?
He knew just enough.
Just enough. Then he said, "Bro, what are you talking about? It was white. He's like, it wasn't those white people."
Then he said it was those white. That's right. Bad apples, right? Just like the police brutality. Just some bad apples.
So my point I'm trying to make is that you don't know. And then like my man said it, and then we just had my man Clayton here, Katie. And my man said it in the clip, right? That the employment, he's wrong about the unemployment stuff, right? Because the bottom line is poverty has been going down since the civil rights era, since this legislation has been enacted. Okay, so at the end of the day, you don't know what you're talking about. Right, but you want to take something that somebody, and who's been saying this to you? Okay, who's been saying this to you? Right. So at the end of the day, see what happens, man, is this, and it reminds me of the flick, my flick with Cry Freedom with Denzel about Steve Biko, right? And then they were in this village, and Kevin Kline, who was his Donald Woods, and he was taking them around this village. And then, Kevin Kline, first time being in a black South African village, right? So he eating it all up, and then he starts saying about, oh, well, wait a minute, you guys had tribal wars, right? So in other words, you guys are, you guys are violent.
That's right. That's right.
And then one of the guys said, well, what about World War I and World War II? Okay, so in other words, we didn't start that. You did, right? And then my man, his eyes like, oh shit, you're right. And then, but this is the point I'm trying to make. When Denzel said, he said, this is the problem. He says, is at the end of the day, if it's not created, if it's not done by white people, and I'm paraphrasing, it must be wrong. But he said, your genius is you convinced us of that too. All right. And that's the issue. So a lot of times, some of these brothers, they're listening like, oh yeah, that's our problem, because these people are telling us this is our problem. All right. But they're the same. It's like Chris Rock when he said, hey man, your neighbor comes, you got robbed, and the neighbor comes and says, hey man, I heard you got robbed. Well, you're the one that robbed me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Talking about you heard I got robbed. You robbed me, right? Well, let me hear your thoughts, bro.
I think that one of the things that we fall prey to is, as you stated, creating a narrative that I have to be this in order to be successful. I have to be this in order to be accepted. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's also but the point is, if the white person, see, in other words, I got to follow their narrative. So if we're not being successful, it's based on what they're saying that we're not doing. That's correct. That's the issue, right? So that's what he's repeating. He's repeating that, right? And so that's the issue. Go ahead.
Even worse than that, though, it's any white person. It's a broke down somebody you don't even respect, but as long as they white and they say you need to be doing this, you fall for it. You can't fall for everything.
Hold on. Wait a minute. When you come to individualism, when it comes to white people, let's be fair here too, right? it wasn't just that they did everything on their own. There was policies written and elected that helped them be able to keep this and do that and this and that. So you can't have it one way versus the other. They use policies and laws, right, to enrich themselves, to keep people out, to make sure, what was that in Wilmington, North Carolina? They came up with the White Declaration of Independence.
Yep,
right,
absolutely.
Just to be fair here, we're not making this up. Look it up yourself. Go online and look up the White Declaration of Independence in 1898 in Wilmington, North Carolina, after they overthrew the government, all right? A multiracial government. The first kind in 1898, 33 years after the Civil War, okay, where black people and white people in power, they working together. What did they do? They came up with a coup. Americans came up with a coup, burned down the city, all right? Ran off, either killed or ran off politicians. Absolutely. Okay, and then came up with
allies.
Allies, and then came up with a White Declaration. And then the Declaration of Independence says, no longer will black people work. We'll give a white person a job before we give a black person. A black person will never vote again, blah, 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 blah. And you look at the history, it wasn't until 1990 something until another black person was elected in Congress in North Carolina. That came from all the way. So when you talk about individualism, you don't know what you're talking about. Because black people for the longest have always been open to building their own stuff. Always. But every time we do it and we get to a certain level and we start rising, they start coming, they change the goalposts and they start coming with ways to stop us.
Because they have tricked us to believe that conservative means when I was last comfortable. That's basically what it is. When I was last comfortable, that's what conservative means. So by any means in which I need to be comfortable again, that's the issue. So the problem that we run into is not only that these people are falling for it, but then they're spreading the gospel of it. And they're acting like it ain't what it is. And when you present them with the truth, when you present them with just the facts, they dig in deeper and act like you don't get it. You ain't up on this. You're unaware. You backwards. Like you said. Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, I just wanted to put it with Clay. Clay from Atlanta said, 1959, the earliest official data when the U.S. Census Bureau first began releasing official poverty estimates. Let me put that back up again, right? And he says the poverty rate for black people was 55%. This is prior to the civil rights era, to the voting acts that Lyndon Johnson and all the other things, right? So think about half the black population in poverty before. And it wasn't because they wasn't trying to do something. It was that they created a law. You ain't gonna work. You're gonna do this. So my point is, here's another narrative that, like you said, a conservative, and I don't even like saying, because you can be conservative.
Absolutely.
You can be that. You just got to be informed.
Absolutely.
All right. You got to be informed. All right. So let's keep moving, bud, because there's, we only played the second clip. All right. Let's keep going.
In that community, absolutely.
Exactly.
And let me just say this: Elaine, Arkansas. Rosewood in Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, the Sweet Auburn district, North Nashville and in Nashville, Tennessee. Each one of these communities were booming black economies where white people, not in the same place, but it was the same group of people every time, destroyed those communities. So you can't say it's policy when when black people do what they need to do and build for themselves and white people destroy it. So why is it that you would frame it as a policy thing?
I didn't frame it as a policy thing.
We can rewind it.
You said it was white people. I said it wasn't white people. It was those white people.
I was trying to draw a distinction between the nature of progressive policy, like the Civil Rights Act, or Supreme Court decisions to overturn segregation, and white supremacist policy, like destroying black communities. But the subject kept changing. Lucky for you, I actually made a video about Tulsa, Oklahoma's Greenwood district. It was definitely white racism that destroyed Black Wall Street and other black communities through explicitly racist acts of state-sanctioned violence. This is why an accurate, full telling of history is so important. Black oppression and black progress have always had a collective quality to them. Black people have been, throughout American history, targeted as a group, from slavery to black codes to Jim Crow to mass incarceration to anti-inclusion efforts today. But we've also made progress by harnessing the power of collective action during Reconstruction and the Civil Rights Movement, and even today during the black-owned business boom.
From LBJ, that's why he said we have these Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. But all those policies have not done what they promised. Would you agree?
I would not agree.
I don't know what policy put in place did exactly as promised, good, bad, or indifferent. That's not the way policies generally work on a large scale. But what I will say is this. We have to be, golly, this the delusion there.
But
we have to be cognizant. Yeah, I know. we have to be cognizant that there's a pattern of every time we follow the rules, abide by the laws of this nation, become and embrace our American citizenship, and get too big, fat, and happy, they come and take that down because of the resentment or the concept of, I don't want you to be on an equal playing field. I want supremacy, and I'm going to fight with everything I have to maintain a level of supremacy, written or unwritten. Now, we talked about the written supremacy in the white Declaration of Independence. That's written supremacy, but that's the sentiment based on history. When we look at these instances where every time we he mentioned city after city after place, and every time we started getting up by our bootstraps and figuring it out and embracing the American dream, just like immigrants and everybody, every time the American dream became in our grasp, they was like, oh, hell no, can't have that. And they are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure terrorism ensues.
Flat out. But here's the thing. He should know that. Right? So, and that's what makes it's not being, I'm a conservative and this is what I believe. Okay, I can get that. But then to make excuses and try to come up with reasons why we are where we are today.
Right.
Basically what he said is our fault.
Yep.
Nobody did nothing. It's our fault. Right. And that's just not true. And you don't even know your own history. Okay. But you're out spouting stuff. And look, let's say, just be fair. He's a rapper. What do you say? He's got millions of followers. All right. And so that's what my man's point was that, look, you got to know truth. Number one, you got to know history. And the facts need to be the facts. They need to come out so everybody know it. Now, I'm going to add on to, hold on, Clay just sent something. What did Clay say? Clay said here, he says, I'm impressed that he mentioned the Atlanta riot. This occurred in 1906, long before the Tulsa riot. Green word. Black Wall Street title was actually insult. So what he's saying, Atlanta was on a whole nother level, all right, in terms of finances and wealth and whole nother. But it doesn't matter. It still got wiped out, all right? And it got wiped out to your point. And I'm going to add a piece to your point. It got wiped out to your, the reason it got wiped out, because there were poor white people saying, oh, they're better than me. I can't have that. All right? That's what that was, right? We can't have them being better than us. So that's what it comes down to all the time, right? They got something that actually I should have, right? Even though I ain't worked for it, but just because I'm white, and that's not everybody, but this is the mindset of certain people, okay? That, hey, I should have this, they shouldn't. Okay, and so no matter what I'm going to do, we're going to go terrorize it. We're going to tear it down, right? So that's the issue. Go ahead. I see you gnawing, so you got something you want to talk about.
Because that sentiment is spread and embraced by people who have been victimized. So first of all, it's a lot of victim shaming going on. But I'll tell you a story that's near and dear to my heart. I took over a facility in Mississippi, and soon after I took over, let's just say 2 or 3 months, I'm having a conversation with my leadership on the floor. It's 93% black. So just keep this in mind. It's 93% black, but it's in the South. And one of the things that they held fast as a belief is, I gotta, work by the sweat of my brow, come in here and kill them for the overtime and be disgruntled and upset and happy. And that's the only way that I'm showing that I'm working hard, that I deserve this job. Well, ultimately, I'm having a conversation with one of my managers, and we laughing and smiling. And a young lady comes up and says, why are y'all smiling at work? and it just caught me so off guard. I'm from the North. You know what I'm saying? It caught me off guard that her impression of how we should be as black people is at work. You have to be serious. You have to show them that you can't show them that you're settled or happy. You can't drive your good car in, or else they gonna come in. Like you have to be under this aspersion of in your level and your place. Because if you show anything outside of that, if you show any type of progress, somebody's coming to knock it out. And that was from the black folks, bro. Like they have been programmed.
But not only that, they were programmed. My man was a rapper, right? But you remember back in the day with Run DMC and LL Cool J, and they were making millions, but they would never show that. They would stay in the hood.
That's right.
They wouldn't move out and get a man.
That's right.
They would stay in the hood because they didn't want nobody to know, right? So look, I get that, but I shouldn't get that because but if you condition that way,
that's right. That's what I was getting at. That's exactly what they want.
Condition, like we can't show them that because if they do, they'll start firing us. They'll be like, you making too much money. You ain't giving you a raise. Well,
Absolutely.
All those things that go into play. Let's keep it moving though. We got more that we got to dive into.
History of saying and doing racist things. I wanted to know how these black people could be drawn into Trump's political orbit. So I talked to Pastor Lorenzo Sewell.
Yeah, so anyone that wants to come to church, they're able to come. So when President Trump called, I thought about it like you calling me and say, hey, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who has 34 felonies. Hey, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who is a womanizer. Hey, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who could be a racist.
He's the lead pastor at a black church in Detroit that Trump visited earlier this year. And he was also a featured speaker at the RNC.
So all my friends back in Detroit who are Democrats, I want to ask you just one simple question. You can't deny the power of God on this man's life. You can't deny that God protected him. Could it be that Jesus Christ preserved him for such a time as this? Could it be?
Why should black people support the Republican ticket and Donald Trump specifically?
That's a good question. What I would say to any black person is this, specifically about the Republican platform. I would say, look, do your research, right? I would say look back to 170 years ago in this state where a group of patriots stood up and they started that grand old party to stop the expansion of slavery. If a black person said, well, Pastor, Donald Trump is racist, the Republican Party is racist, well, let's play that theme out throughout history. Let's look at who was the party of slavery, who was the party of Jim Crow, right? Who was the party of the slave codes. Well, those are Democrats.
It's just getting curiouser and curiouser. Okay, so correlation and causation. 50 Cent got shot 9 times and survived. That does not make him a prophet nor a divine entity because he made it through. Like, bro,
so dude didn't get killed. God got something for him to do that, right? Not only that, bro. It's just. But go finish your thought. Go ahead. Finish.
But this concept of if you feel like because you're a religious leader, anybody can come in and get absolution. Anybody can come in and ask for. He wasn't coming in asking for forgiveness. He wasn't coming in asking for absolute. He was coming in asking for a platform, and he was coming in asking for he was
asking for votes.
Votes, exactly.
He wasn't looking to repent.
Yes,
all right.
Thank you.
My man, I thank you because that's where I was going to go. You framing it like the dude came in for confession. Coming here to say I sinned. You remember Clinton when he was with Monica Lewinsky? He was on TV. I sinned. But at least he did that, right? This dude wasn't coming to your church to say, "Hey, I'm sorry," and I need God. He was coming to get votes, okay?
Get pictures, absolutely.
He needed a platform, and you gave him a platform. Now, if you want to say that, then say it. It is what it is, right? But don't sit back here and say, oh, it's just like if you would have asked me to come in or somebody at 34 convicted of a felon. And here's the other thing, and then I'll let you hear your thought. The dude listed off. He listed off. All of his sins, all of it. He shouldn't even been on the ballot.
Yep.
I'm saying, how is he running for president when he's 34 convictions? All right. Woman, I mean, my man listed them all. Okay. But finish your thought, though, bro.
We talk to a lot of leaders on our platform, and the thing about it is that pastor knows as a leader, he can't get 2 speeding tickets and keep the pulpit. So what are we talking about, bro? You're endorsing another leader when this person has shown himself not to be qualified on numerous occasions with numerous infractions, whether it be fraud, womanizing, paying, what is it, bribery, like all these things, bro. Like,
look, does he need prayer? Absolutely. All right. Does the dude, do you have your arms in? Come on, son.
Yeah.
Come on into church and get some of this healing. Okay, I get that. All right, but to sit back and come on, man, stop. You insulting the people, right? And
Absolutely.
look, let's be fair. No, we all have issues, all right? Every human being has issues and sin, and we all do. So even people in the church that's sitting there saying, hey, man, they got their own issues. Some of them are thieves and robbers, and so that's just the people. So I get that part. I get it. Nobody is perfect, so I understand that. But don't sit back and try to frame it that this is how he came in. You invited him in as a regular sinner who was coming in and needed love, because that wasn't the case. Go ahead, finish your thought.
So even a man on the cross next to Jesus was a thief, but he asked for forgiveness and didn't go back to doing it. It makes no sense.
Buddy,
like you've seen too much now, bro, to use that as your speaking point. When you said he came just like any other bad guy would have came, well, if a bad guy comes, and once again, people make mistakes and we're the land of second chances. Bad guy comes, he comes to your pulpit, he comes to your place, and you allow for him to speak or you allow for him a platform, and then he goes out and commits 2 more robberies. You're not bringing that up because it didn't work. The washing didn't work.
I mean, you'll pray for him. You'll be like, look, bro, we're gonna pray for you because you ain't changed your ways.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though, bro. I want to go back to what he was saying earlier, because this is a key point here. When he was like, well, how can you, black, and so he was like, well, look, 70 years ago, blah blah blah. He's right. Black people did vote Republican, but because Lincoln freed the slave.
That's correct.
Okay, so you got to, and then you had, and then after Lincoln, after he got assassinated, you had Johnson, who was a Southerner, who was a Southern sympathizer. But then you had General Grant, and then you had
Ulysses
other Republicans that was anti-racism. Okay, so this is you didn't say that. Okay, so that's why. Okay, that's why. Right. Second, he's right. This is where I agree. He's right. The Dixiecrats, okay, the Jim Crow and all those were by Democrats. You are 100% right. This is the difference, though. In '64, when Barry Goldwater ran, okay, who was speaking from a racial standpoint, and this is where that conservatism, see, he wasn't using those terms before then, all right? And then he came, and then guess what? Those Dixiecrats, which they came up with the Southern strategy, those Dixiecrats became what? Republicans. All right, so then they switched.
Absolutely.
All right, and the same mindset, the same thing, the same themes went over to the Republican Party. That's the history, bro. So if you're going to use that, then you see, again, you frame things, right? And try to create to support you create a narrative to support your actions. But then it doesn't, and most people wouldn't know that, to be fair, because most people don't know history. But if you can't say that to people who know, because they're looking at you like, what are you talking about? Dude, just say it, man. You know what? This is who I like. This is who I believe in. Enough said. All right? But don't try to create narratives that's not true.
But you don't always need history to reinforce what you vibe with. I don't need to know how long the restaurant has been there to know it's a good restaurant now.
Yeah, you just say, this is what I believe.
I like this now based on these reasons. But when you try to use history and when you try to bastardize history to use it to reinforce your message, that's where you go wrong, unless you really have done your history. Unless you can't half-ass it, though. And that's the problem.
You can't. Let's keep moving.
Yes, sir.
At the Republican Party, in terms of President Donald J. Trump, this is what I would say. Don't look at the container, look at the content, right? Don't look at the man, look at the mission, right? Don't look at his past, look at what your agenda is for your community in the future.
Conservatives are leading the charge to remove protections for voting rights, protections for maternal mortality, interventions in California, affirmative action, diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are all issues that pertain directly to the people that I know that you serve in your community. Why should they support the party behind the hindrance, the advancement of the very things that I know you stand for?
Sure. Black people that I know, that I represent, that I've had these conversations with, they don't want to be put in a position because they're Black. There's not one Black person I know that will say to me, Lorenzo, I deserve this position because I'm Black.
But I want to. But you know that that's not what DEI is. DEI is about fair hiring practices, opening up opportunity, like creating pathways, like.
But you're smart. You're an intelligent man, and those that would say this, I believe they're very intelligent. It costs more money not to hire the person who's the best than to be racist. It actually costs more money. So if you're the best at what you do, right? And let's just say I'm a racist. So let's just say that, let's play that out, right? And let's just say, hey, there are 20 white guys that are not as competent as you, but I'm not gonna pick you because you're Black. It's gonna cost me more money.
They don't even know that this qualified person exists.
So first of all, he hijacked the answer in the fact that dude was talking about gerrymandering, or voting rights. He's talking about voting rights. He was talking about women's rights and things of that nature that are at the top of the list of things that they're trying to get rid of. And he took it right to the DEI. He took it right to it's a series of things that are being attacked that would affect his constituency or his flock, right? But unfortunately, he's only been programmed to bang this one drum. It's a lot of different angles. We talk about the chaos theory, right? We talk about them doing the muzzle fire, broad spectrum, hitting all these different points. We can only really focus on one thing at a time. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff is slipping through the cracks because that voting, that redistricting, that is a big situation because that's where representation comes from. We're being underrepresented based on a scheme or a plot that they put into play with the 2025 or whatever. I forgot what it's called now. What's the playbook that they came out with that Donald Trump said?
Yeah, 2025, right? Project 2025.
Project 2025. Thank you. So and if you go back and look at chapter 4, go through the book, all of this stuff was written. What are we talking about? But more importantly, the young man said to him, these are things that are flying in the face of the people you say you care about and represent. How can you feel good about that?
Here's the thing, though, but see, here's the thing, bro. And again, so number one, I don't know what the dude's background is, but he couldn't have never worked in corporate America. Matter of fact, and he said it. He was a drug dealer. Okay.
Okay.
So for him, so number one, bro, for him to sit here and say, first thing, my man, and you said it. First thing he asked him, hey, buddy, they're getting rid of this. Oh, the Black people I know, they don't want a position just because they're Black. Who's doing? But so again, man. So see, again, he's repeating a narrative.
Yes.
That's not true.
That's correct.
Okay, so if he was, so number one, right off the bat, that tells you he don't know what he's talking. It's not he knows what he's talking about. He's just a puppet. Number two, right, to say, well, wait a minute, let's think this through. If a company, it costs more money to, not have the right person in the position. So if you're Black and you're the smartest, and there's 20 other white people that's not as smart as you, and if they gave it to somebody else, they'll end up losing money. And then, buddy, they'll give it to the other 20. Okay? He has what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay? And that's the point. Okay? Yeah. So these things are real. They're not figments of people's imaginations. They're not one-offs where this just happened to 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 1,000,000. Okay, so you don't know what you're talking. He's taking stuff that people have created and framed, and instead of understanding or diving into it, he's just regurgitating. Well, they wouldn't want positions just because that's what you think DEI. See my point? You have no clue. You have nothing. You've never worked anywhere. So that showed me right there. And then number 2, are you kidding me? We've seen it a million times where people get promoted that was not on the same level as somebody, a person of color, a woman, whatever, and they continue to promote. Hey, what are you talking? Doesn't get it. Just doesn't get it. Go ahead, buddy.
I think
we'll keep moving.
What happens is this: people feel like the way a corporation is structured, the CEO took the test and got the highest score. The next person had the second highest score. The third person had the third highest score, and so on and so forth. That's not how corporations are running out.
Hold on. So Clay says, he said the black people that I know. All right. Who is those people? Those
real
two.
blacks.
All right. The two. Right. Who work at McDonald's. Right.
He
Who
qualified.
don't want to do one. Yeah. Just stop. Just stop. But here's the thing, bro. Let's keep moving because we're running out of time, and I want to get to the rest of this real quick. Right.
Okay. Cool.
In his book, The Grift, Clay Cane details the history of how black conservatives have thrown black people under the bus to get ahead personally. From black Republicans like Isaiah Montgomery and Booker T. Washington to modern black Republicans like Clarence Thomas. Clay Cane makes the case that the modern black Republican is likely, if not assuredly, a grifter, a person who is doing that which is politically expedient rather than doing what is right, doing whatever they need to do to get that all expenses paid trip to fancy places. I couldn't help but wonder if some of the folks I was talking to fit that description. So I asked Pastor Lorenzo whether or not he was a grifter.
In my reporting, I've spoken to Clay Cane, who wrote a book about grifters, how sometimes black Republicans will align themselves with political power for their own personal advantage.
Sure.
What do you say to a person who says, hey, like, you're a talented, gifted person, but we didn't necessarily know who you were, but now you're speaking on one of the biggest platforms in the world tonight?
Quite frankly, I don't need another opportunity to speak. Has the Republican Party said, Lorenzo, we're going to write you a big check? No. If they did, it's just going to go right to the community anyway.
So number one, though, buddy, is that the dude. So look, let's don't focus on him.
Mm-hmm.
There is people, to be fair, that will throw everybody else under the bus, and that's in every group, right? That's
every
in
group,
every
absolutely.
Group. I remember when I saw Schindler's List, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw the guys that became Jewish police officers,
mm-hmm.
right? And how they threw their people under the bus
mm-hmm.
to save themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's everywhere, right? So you see 1,000 times. So that's nothing that I'm shocked at, because it's just, that's human nature. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. This Judas thing been going on since biblical times, fam. Like, I mean, let's keep it real. And unfortunately, we've been programmed to use the almighty dollar as the qualifier to, everybody has a price. And you hear about this stuff in gangster. You big on gangster movies. Everybody has a price. Everybody has a this. And then you say, well, look, what was I supposed to do? He gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. And it be, dog. And so you tap into the psychology of people, and people are sellouts. Or as my friend says, I bought in. You know what I'm saying? I didn't sell out. I bought in,
and that's fair, right? And look, I'm not gonna, because I remember I read about Booker T. Washington, and that was the thing. They was like, he was a sellout.
Yeah.
All right. And so I wasn't there, but that's what I read about him, right?
Yep.
But look, we've seen that 1,000 times. That's nothing new, right? And I don't know my man enough to see if he's a sellout or not. But all that being said, it does make you scratch your head. But here, let's end on this.
Yep. But I have a take, and I want to share it with you. A more inclusive and racially diverse Republican Party could be a good thing. American conservatives and Republicans have made the lives of black people difficult on purpose. From the Southern strategy to welfare queens to anti-woke, anti-DEI stuff today, American conservatives have galvanized their white base by making the lives of Black people harder. It could be a good thing to see more Black Republicans if it means that the Republican Party is becoming actively hostile to the racists who have called that party their home for the last 60 years at least. Make American politics inhospitable to racists. I'm all in on that platform. But the reality is that racists, or at least racism enablers, were present and accounted for at the RNC. They were given stage time, had exclusive access, and seemed central to the whole operation. And I'll tell you what did not feel central. Black people.
And I had to cut it because we have enough time, but to net, he stated that there was a Black conservative convention there, right? And they had their thing off to the side. And the word was through the grapevine that Trump was going to stop through, right? And so you can see the clip. And I wish everybody goes and watch it because it's on video, right? And then they saw the motorcade coming. They're like, ah, he's coming. Oh my God, right? Right past.
Yeah.
You know, so they want you, they have a man come up and promote. They have this and that, but then you got all these but they keep you to the side and you still believe. So that's the issue, man. To be honest, if somebody wants to be, I get it. I totally get it. But the racist part, how can you be in bed or connected to a group that's saying it in your face? They're on stage saying how this and that, or they're trying to get rid of this channel and this and that, whole 9 yards, and you still with it? That's where, and so his point is, would it be better if there's more? Yeah, absolutely. But it's got to be minus the racist, because there is there is a safe haven, I should say, within that platform. Let me hear your final thoughts.
My final thought is, especially with the pastor, he's given the wrong level of absolution. He's making it okay because they say, well, look, he's accepted us, so therefore we can't be that bad. He says he says he represents you. He says he's one of y'all. He done came up out the mud and he used to deal drugs and this and that, and we accepted him as our. You have a felon as your president. You'll accept anything. That's not impressive to me. So, you know, the fact that you got an adulterous, womanizer, all as a president, your standards aren't great. So the idea of, but what he doesn't realize is he's being used as the token. And I was trying to think of another word, but the concept is, because he's there, I can't feel that way about you. I have to be fair. I have to be, and he's not qualified to represent me. He didn't get the badge to say that, hey, it's all good because we cool with this cat. No, I'm looking at the results and the actions and the policies that have been in place and the things that you're saying and doing that are detrimental to us, the brown folks. They rounding up brown folks like crazy. You're trying to do this. Black and brown is under attack and has been. No matter who gets up there and speaks once.
And buddy, they're not whining. They're not riling. They're not corralling people with light skin. They're not corralling. So this is that's why I don't understand, right? But hold on, Clay hit a couple of things here. I just want to put them up because he said the Grifter thing hits home. He said 2 of my high school friends became Trump supporters. They were grifters in high school, and he said Judas is the best description ever, right? And then he put here, he said it may be working. 3 in 10 Black Republicans are ages 18 to 29, right? And so here's the thing, though. Let's just be clear here. I think I can speak for both of us. None of us is saying that you can't be a Republican. Okay, right. Nobody is saying. Even my man's his summary. He's not saying. What he's saying is the party is home to a lot of racists.
Yes,
and they're trying to eradicate programs or things that can help people of color. Right. And then at the same time, they're saying, oh, they got to do it by themselves. But when it comes to their own districts and the people that look like them, they're writing policy all the time to help those people. OK. Yes. And so at the end of the day, Would it be better if we had more? Because, and you know, and there's also saying that, oh, the Democratic Party ain't doing nothing for black people too, and this and that. I'm not saying that they are. All right. What I'm saying is that when you have a platform or a party that's actively in your face racist, and they have people on their platform that they don't denounce, okay, that they put up. They're not in the back screaming, what's that, boo. They're on the stage talking junk and this and that. And then you're saying, I'm with them. I'm going to vote for them. I support them. That's the issue. That's at least from my standpoint. Let me hear your thoughts.
My final standpoint is I'm not as afraid of them actively trying to eradicate things that can help black and brown people. I'm more afraid of them actively instituting things that can hurt. So the old stuff is you know, I know what I'm dealing with. My fear is the new stuff that's actively, purposely detrimental to us, that is being signed off on, that's being passed, that's being put out there, and that we have no choice but to eat it. That's the fear, and that's what's being proliferated by these black MAGAs and others, is that they're acting like it's not happening, and I see it. I see it.
And they see it, but they got a blind eye to it, right? Yeah. And so, listen, we're going to have to leave it there, my brother.
Yeah. I told you it was going to be hot today.
Uncomfortable, right? Those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid.
Absolutely.
Right? But we had to dive into this, so I'm glad we did. And let's hear your thoughts. You know, and Clay, really appreciate you, my brother, jumping in, sharing your thoughts with us. But yeah, if you watch this or send this to somebody, we would love to hear their thoughts. Again, we're giving you our perspective. I would love to hear other people's perspectives.
Absolutely. And so not just live, put it in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. We'll go back and review this stuff. And if we need to have a part 2, we can have a part 2 based on good feedback.
No, we're going to have part 2, bro. We got to dive in deeper. But go ahead.
But we definitely want to remind you to check out other things on the platform. We love coming to you live every Tuesday, but we also want you to check out weekly Need to Know with Nsinga. Don't miss this week's episode where Dr. Nsinga Burton provides you her perspective and dives into timely and crucial topics that shape our community on a Black Executive Perspective podcast. Make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss that.
And look, check out Pull Up, Speak Up, the Roundtable here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast. Bold perspectives, tough talk, everyone sharing their perspective like Chris and I did today. Don't forget to check them out on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, as well as don't forget to come back next week to check out BEP Live, 6 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube on a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
And then we want to round it out and end it off with our call to action, which is less, L-E-S-S. Our goal is to eliminate all forms of discrimination, and to achieve this, we're asking everyone to embrace less. The L is for learn. Educate yourself on racial and cultural and historical nuances.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E, which stands for empathy. Now, since you've educated yourself, now since you've learned, you should be more empathetic to what other people go through, because now you can put yourself in their shoes.
And the first S is for share. That's what we're here to do with you. We want you sharing with us. Share your insights, enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it.
And then the final S stands for stop. We want everyone to stop discrimination as it walks in your path. So it's simple as if Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something that's inappropriate at the Sunday dinner table, instead of sitting back there with shock, with your mouth open shock, or you giggling, you say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that, we don't say that, and you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, L-E-S-S, we'll build a more fair, more understanding world. And guess what? We all will see the change that we want to see, because less will become more.
Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We got a ton of subscribers now, chopping at the bit, loving this. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you can tune in to the next episode that comes on the platform. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, the monthly perspective. It's everything that you need right now. And make sure that you review us. Tell us what you want to hear us talk about. And where can they find us, Tony?
Buddy, they can find the Black Executive Perspective podcast right here on YouTube or Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also, you can follow us on our social channels of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at a Black Exec. For my fabulous co-host, the co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris P. Reed. I'm TonyTidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We got mad about it today, right? But guess what? We're going to keep striving and thriving about it. We love you. And guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.